Hey my loves, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Natalie Lee, being authentically me, period. You can call me Natalie or Naya, either one is fine with me. And today is going to be a completely different type of video. It's a more sit down chit chat, personal testimony of mine that I am super excited to just share with you guys, just so you could have a little bit more insight of me and just, you know, my walk with God. I'm kind of nervous only because I tried filming this video already 3 times, you guys. The first time, in my brain, I thought it was going to be a really good idea to do a get ready with me chit chat, you know, just sitting down doing makeup, and that actually turned out absolutely terrible, as you guys can see right now. This is not working out and I just wasted my makeup look, so this is not fun and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I can do this. This is not going to stop. I don't think the makeup thing is gonna work. It's not. Huh? Try this again after more time in prayer, but this is not a failure. This is just exercising wisdom and knowing when to cut it. So we're gonna cut it and try this again. Okay. When I first saw that clip, you guys, it actually made me so emotional and cry, but then at the same time I was like laughing at myself. This is just a regular routine around here. I cry and laugh at myself all the time. I laughed at myself because I didn't know how I thought in my brain me actually sitting down doing my makeup, talking about such a sensitive topic, would ever work out. I have like concealer all over my face, tears. It was just a mess. It was just a lot of different things that I had to do to be able to film this today. So I am really proud of myself for pushing through and not just wanting to give up. Okay, I changed my setup a little bit just because I wanted to look cozy. I stole a pillow from my sister and a plant from my sister, of course. And I just wanted to look like comfortable. I didn't want to focus on anything. I just wanted to sit down and really talk with you guys. The sun is coming out. That's God's approval, okay? It's God's approval. So let's just get right into it. This was a little bit challenging for me to talk about. Oh no, don't get emotional. This was a little challenging for me to talk about because it's something that I have struggled with for years, and it was even more challenging for me the closer my walk got with God, because I couldn't understand why it was still such a difficult struggle for me. Being a Christian, I know that stigma is pushed out, that, you know, those who deal with anxiety and depression, it means you need to, like, you know, you're not trusting God enough, you're not doing something right in your walk with God, so that's why you're experiencing these things. And so it took a long time for me to feel comfortable to talk about it, because in my head I was embarrassed and I was trying to calculate in my head what was I doing wrong. And I just pray that as time progresses, topics like that and mental illnesses and mental health get discussed more within the church community, just so that it doesn't make people feel like they're doing something wrong or want to isolate themselves or feel embarrassed. And that's not me anymore. I don't feel embarrassed to talk about this. I don't feel shameful or that I need to over explain why, you know, this may happen. I don't feel that. I just feel a sense of relief and joy and just excitement to kind of finally talk about something that I feel like was hidden, that I hid for such a long time because I didn't know how to navigate it and I didn't want to be looked at a certain way. The reason why it was so difficult for me to talk about, because anxiety and depression have been something that I have struggled with since I was a little girl. You know, growing up, I was always overanalyzing and very analytical and super self-critical and just always constructing and critiquing myself. And part of one of my anxious things was to always be in my hair. Okay, that was like I had heavy hands and hair syndrome. It's still something that I am working with. It's one of the reasons why I learned how to do wigs and weaves and braids and stuff like that. One, because I didn't want to spend much money in the salon, but two, because I just had such a hard time keeping my hands out of my hair, especially when I was really anxious and nervous. So I would be pulling out my hair, I would pull out my edges, I would pull, just to pull constantly, because I was just constantly, you know, manipulating it. And even when I did go on a natural hair journey and I decided to wear my hair out, I would always just keep it in a bun to the point where the middle of my hair broke off, because I just knew if I had it down, there was no way that I was going to leave it alone. And my mom used to complain all the time, like, get your hands out of your hair. But for me, it was just like, I don't know. I was just always like, you know, very, very anxious. And I knew part of my anxiety stemmed from just thinking about what others may think of me, or just, you know, insecurities and just like overthinking everything. And for a long time, I felt really trapped in my own brain. I mean, I would experience severe panic attacks. I would have to like take my nebulizer and take my pump, because I would just, whenever there was a situation that I didn't know how to control, I would have such a difficult time. I mean, even when it came to like talking about like things that I struggled with, or different traumas, like my jaw would just not move. My jaw would just be clenching. I had to like keep stuff in my mouth to keep it open and chew on it, so that way I wouldn't keep it closed, because while I was sleeping that was happening, while I was awake it was happening. So it would just be so difficult for me. My sleep patterns, forget about it. I could stay up for literally days. I could stay up, I would not get, I mean, getting 0 sleep, or the next day getting like 1 hour of sleep. I would just be up, and just my mind would be whining and crying and just all different types of things. And then to top it off, not only did I have extreme anxiety, but I would reach such low moments. Like, and those low moments would be just extreme depression. I would be extremely sad, not want to do anything, sleeping all the time, disappearing for weeks. Nobody would hear anything from me. My friend, and it became so much of a pattern that my friends would just know, okay, like Naya's just having one of her moments, she'll be back again in like a few weeks, and then we'll get to talk to her again. Because when I wasn't experiencing those things, I was always like super bubbly, high energy, like, okay, let's go. Because in my brain, I'm like, I know I'm gonna have either episode like one time or the next, so I gotta try to do as much as I can before I get into one of these stages. And with my depression, it was even more challenging, because literally I would not want to do anything. Like, I wouldn't go into work, I wouldn't go into my classes. I remember I was missing school so much in college, which my friends always be like, I don't know how you get an A in this. I don't know how you got an A in this class, because you were never here. But it's because in my head, I knew, okay, well, I know I'm gonna have like a depressive episode this time. So when I do go to class, I'm gonna participate a whole bunch. I'm gonna make sure I would never miss any work. I would always hand in my work. I would always hand in all the things that I need, but I just knew that I would need to be home, because I would just be such a wreck. Like, I wouldn't be eating, to the point where my family like literally had to make food for me and like, no, you need to eat. And I would finally like try to, you know, nibble on something, but I would just completely isolate myself and shut myself out from everybody. And I would get like so low that I would literally reach like rock bottom. And you know, you have to be mindful of the language that we use here on YouTube, because it is, you know, community guidelines. But there were several times where I could not have been here to tell this story today, to be honest with you, to be as honest and transparent as possible, because those are the deep, dark places that I would go into. And I think the pandemic, for a lot of people, it was a moment where they did start to experience those waves of emotion and just different mental health struggles. Or the people who already had struggled with mental health, it became intensified, right? Because we had nothing to do. All the factors that I would use to try to soothe myself, or just act like it didn't happen, or just cry several times and then have to get up and do what I have to do, I didn't have those things to kind of distract my brain anymore. I literally had to sit down and begin to figure out what is going on. And so, as someone who follows Christ, as someone who is a believer in Christ, as a person who is a Christian, I would try like everything. I would try everything because I wasn't sure like what I was doing wrong in terms of a religious aspect. It wasn't from a relational viewpoint with God. It was from a religious viewpoint of what should I be doing? What are the steps that say you shouldn't be experiencing this? So this is the proper like legalistic way so that way you won't feel that. You know what I mean? And I remember I was trying everything and I just cried out to God one day and I would pray nonstop. I mean, crying. God, please take it away. I don't want to be like this anymore. I don't want to struggle with this anymore. I don't want to just feel trapped in my mind. I don't want to feel trapped in just this sad moment. What am I doing wrong? How can I fix it? It was a lot of like what did I do, you know? And I think a lot of times when we experience difficulties in our life, we think of like, what did I do wrong? In what way did I sin that made me have to go through this? And you know, we put all of that heaviness onto ourselves without recognizing that there's no like equation that we can have that would add up to us like, you know, making our lives perfect, because that's not what it's meant. We're not meant to be that way. You know, there is just natural things in life, trials, tribulations, sufferings that, and different, you know, things that each one of us go through. And so I really think it's important that even in those moments we take away, I mean, there's consequences and also just recognizing and taking accountability for certain things, but things that are just here, natural, don't put all that onto yourself. Like, stop putting that on you. Stop thinking, what can I do? And stop trying to take control of the situation and finally just learn to let it go and give it to God and let God fix it all. Because when we put that pressure on ourselves and our mind and on our actions and everything that we must do, we take away the beauty of grace, because it's not about works. You know what I mean? It's not about what we should be doing and how we need to do this and how we need to do that, but it's just about how good God is. Sometimes it just really boils down to how good God is and how much He's in control. And what really got me to a place where I actually started to make a change, which is so crazy, is on this channel I was doing a series because I was in that stage of crying out to God and like, God, I need you to fix this. I need to know what I need to do. Like, what are the steps to get me out of this? And that's where the series, like Taking Our Mind Back March came into, which was a series I never finished, and you're gonna hear why now. Because the craziest thing happened to me that month. Literally, I had said taking our mind back, right? And I was like doing it for you guys, but really God is like, no, you need to do it for you. You need to take your own mind back. You're encouraging people to do this, but you didn't even do it yourself. And I'm like, oh, I got this. Like, I'm getting all my stuff together. And mind you, I'm still not ashamed of those videos. I think they're good videos, but I just think that God was also showing me something about myself that I was just like blinders on, couldn't see. So during that time, I had experienced a really bad, I went from being like extremely anxious, I mean really bad, to like a really low depressive episode. Like, it was really bad, by far the worst one that I've ever had. And I'm not gonna go into like all the details of what happened during that time, but I can just say that I had such a divine intervention from God. Like, I know we say like, oh, God saved my life. No, God literally saved my life. My camera's about to die. I think it's dying at an appropriate time. Let's take a little break. Yes, so I couldn't begin to describe to you how amazing that moment is. And it completely changed my whole trajectory of how I was going to move forward when it came to my mental health and how seriously I was going to take these things. I like made a promise to God that night. Then I went on this whole journey. I mean, a whole journey. I'm talking to doctors, psychiatrists, medications, a whole thing. And I am not going to go into that whole process because, you know, like, it's still something that I'm still praying about, but also it's still something that I'm not necessarily sure what happened. And I tell you, it was one of the most difficult things I had to go through, crying all the time, you know, trying to find the right doctors, which I will do a video on that, you know, therapists and, you know, the importance of Christian people and Christian medical professionals. But I also wanted to make sure that I give you guys as much information as possible, so when I do share that video, that I can really help you as much as I can through my personal journey. Just that way, if you are someone that wants to go that route, you can have all the things that you need before you go down there, because it was a lot bigger than what I thought it would be. It was really hard. Really hard. I'm not gonna, like, you know, lie to you, but I thank God for it because it did help me a lot. It helped me a lot. It helped me know what I didn't want to do and which route I didn't want to go and where I wanted to continue to go. So what I did was I took little bits and pieces from what I got from doctors and what I got from like the psychiatrists and stuff like that, and I applied that. And because the diagnosis that the psychiatrist gave me, that's why I don't want to share it, because I'm also just, you know, I'm also need to go and get a second opinion. But also, you know, I took from what they had told me. I started to do my own research. I started to like look into like how different foods affect, you know, mental health, like exercise, how that is super important. I went on a whole exercise binge. Asked me how much exercise I do now. As you can see, we're still not at our desired goal. This is a work in progress. This is a work in progress, okay? Yeah, so diet was one thing, exercising, environment was another big thing. Setting up my environment and being in environments that I know were conducive to just me growing as a person, my mental health, and also just my relationship with God. I really became super active in changing and growing and not just succumbing to whatever I felt like was impossible for me to overcome, whatever was impossible for God to do. Because nothing is impossible for God. Hence why I'm sitting here today. So where I'm at now is, this is me just stepping out in faith. This is me stepping out with no more fear. Can I sit here and say that everything has been figured out and I am like completely don't have moments and I completely, you know, don't have to have this as something to think about anymore? No. Can I say that I am where I used to be? No. Nowhere near. I realized that you have to be active with your mental health. You have to be active in moving forward and not letting things hold you back. And you have to be active in your thoughts. Literally, God took my mind back. Literally, He has continued to transform and renew my mind. So that taking our minds back in March, I didn't necessarily get to finish the series for you guys, but God definitely said, no, we're going to take it back the way that I said. So he's literally continuing to transform my mind, transform my thoughts, change my focal point from like I talk about this with my therapist all the time, people pleasing, right? Changing my focal point, and she always encourages me to not focus on the audience of many, but really focusing on the audience of one, which is God. And when I look and think about, God, is this pleasing to you? God, is this something that you would like me to do? God, is this what we're gonna, you know, what should my next steps be? It takes away all that pressure from myself. You know, it doesn't stop me from working. I don't get halted and just say, well, I'm just gonna sit here and like not do anything. No, it literally becomes a point of, I can move forward in this way because I know that I'm honoring and I'm pleasing God. And when I know that I'm honoring and pleasing God, and when I know that I am not betraying myself and betraying, you know, my values or betraying His word, then I'm like, let's do this. let's do this. Why were we hiding in the first place? It was so frustrating for me because one, I felt like I always had to over explain, and also two, I always had to like come up with some excuse as to why I went missing, or people would not understand, or someone would say something so mean and hurtful to me, and while I was trying to like build up the strength to even do things in a normal day-to-day everyday thing. And because people don't necessarily know, or they don't even understand, they would just say things, and I would just be like, it would make me so angry. And I think why it also made me angry was because I was also holding on to it, and I was also holding on to like this big secret, like, oh my gosh, oh no, oh no, oh no. Where now it's like I just have so much freedom, so much liberation to, you know, not be ashamed and recognize that this is something that God is going to continue to work in and through me, and that I will no longer have to sit here and feel that way anymore. I literally wake up with the joy of the Lord, and when I don't wake up with that, I pray, and I'm like, God, okay, your joy is my strength, so I need that. And what I have learned, and just what I will say to just kind of close out this video, I could do more of an in-depth video of, you know, since my new journey, what I have learned, and I definitely will, but what I have learned is just to challenge my thoughts, you know, feelings versus facts, what is actual factual and what is just, you know, a lying thought right now. Not giving in to my emotions as I used to do. And when I do start to notice a pattern of me like just not doing good, I always ask myself, like, how's your prayer life right now? Why do you want to like get ready to like isolate yourself? Like, have you been reading your word? Have you, you know, brought this to God? It's really like something that has brought me so much closer to God, so much of my relationship with God, and just like recognizing how much I need Him. Not just like this frivolous, like, oh, God's there, like, thank you, God. But no, I need you, God. I need you to do this. I need you to live. I need you for every aspect, you know. And therapy has been such a blessing for me. That was another thing that I prayed about and was asking God to help me with. And that's another thing that I want to do a video on, is just like therapy as Christians, and you know, the giving really helpful tips, because I've actually have a lot of experience with different therapists. Like, I've had more than one therapist, so I got all this heat. I know I can help you guys out. And I also think that sometimes people don't recognize how much trauma affects mental health as well. Trauma can really affect our mental health. And so for me, what I will say is that it's very important that even if you don't necessarily struggle in that aspect, I think recognizing your traumas and acknowledging them and giving them to God for healing, and going through that process with a therapist is something that really can be freeing as well. And this is just another part of a testimony that God is continuing to do in my life, and I'm ready for the next chapters that God has. I'm ready for the next doors that will be open. I'm just ready for a lot. I'm ready for a lot, and I'm super excited about it. So yeah, if you're still here, I know that this video is already long, so if you're still here, just comment down below and say hey, or anything that you want. You can share your own personal testimonies. I love hearing stories like that. And encourage one another down in the comment section. And I'm just thankful to all of you guys who watch me, and I'm thankful to God because closing out the video, don't do this. And I'm just really thankful that I'm here and I'm able to like share this with people, and I hope that it helps someone in some way, and just shows how amazing God is and all the things that He will do and continues to do, even without us sometimes recognizing it. So yeah, I'm made whole, I'm made clean, I am loved, and I have the peace, joy, and strength of the Lord, and that is what I will continue to focus on. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and stay beautiful and stay blessed. Bye. Whew. We did it. We did it, Jesus. Jesus, we did it.